Hey everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Imagination Megapark. Now, I've been out of the country for a week or so that's why there haven't been any new videos for a while. But now I'm back to make new videos like this one for Imagination Megapark. Now, for this video, since we've done an entire lap around the park, I want to continue on the second lap around the park. And for this video, I think it will be fun to work on the Desert of Doom area again, as it's actually one of my favorite areas to work on. Now, for this episode, let me quickly put the camera correct. Here we go. What I think will be fun if there's a transport ride that transports guests all around this area. Now, the thing with transport rides is that it's always best to build them early on in the development of an area, as it will be really tricky to put them in later when you've already built several rides and you'll have to weave them through it somehow. So I think I will just start the ride somewhere over here, and it will just travel sort of like along the edge. Maybe I'll lower some of this land around the edge as well. I have some ideas for that. So yeah, this ride will actually define quite a few of the landscaping features that we will see in this area. And I've also identified some places where we can actually weave it through this existing coaster and provide some interaction with some of these paths and the landscape. You will see later on in the episode. I think it will be a really fun ride. Now, before I begin on this ride, I think it will be fun to name a few more of our handymen after some of my commenters on the last Imagination Megapark video. I just randomly picked out some people who left a fun comment. So yeah, let's get this over with. Alright, Stephen Frederick 705 and Doesn't Know Jack 971. I hope I didn't mess that up. But yeah, thanks for commenting on my last video. And you will now forever be walking around in my park, swiping vomit and trash. And yeah, I hope you will enjoy your spot in the park. And if you also want to become a handyman in the park, just leave some nice, funny, interesting comment, and I might just pick you out to become a handyman in the park. So yeah, once again, thanks a lot. Okay, I think that's enough talking. Let's go start on building this ride. Alright, here you can now see the layout for this new transport ride. Now, you may notice there are some gaps in the track, and there's a very good reason for that. So, yeah, I will now just build the actual ride, which will be a new ride, and I'll just place one track piece, and I'll just change this ride to something else for now. Let's go with looping roller coaster. And for this track piece, I will copy and paste it over here. There we have it. Alright. Okay, and then here I will build the first station of the ride. And here I will put another track piece of this ride, so it merges into the other ride. Now, the reason I'm doing all this is because eventually I want this ride track to be invisible. And to do that, normally I will just change the ride to a crooked house, for example, or a lift. But there's something else that I want in this ride as well, and that's that I want guests to actually wait at the parts where the ride actually crosses the paths. And that behavior is currently locked to the miniature railway ride. So this ride over here, which has the stations and which will spawn the vehicles, that will actually be the miniature railway ride, and it will go on the other track, but since the vehicles are of this ride type, the guests will still wait for this ride. And because the rest of the ride is now invisible, yeah, it means I don't have to make every track piece of this railway invisible, but I can just do it like this. So probably I only have to make this part over here invisible, for example, and this one over here. Maybe the station as well, but it will be covered with a building eventually. And yeah, this is just a simpler way for me to make the entire ride invisible while it still has the behavior of a miniature railway with the guests waiting for it. Alright, I will just make the rest of the track visible again, and I will work on making some nice stations for this ride. Alright, the ride now has 4 different stations, and all the stations have a queue. Now, before I actually start decorating these stations and the queues and the ride itself, I think it will be a good idea to actually spawn in the vehicles and see if they behave the way I want, and if the guests actually will wait on these crossings if the trains pass. So, first off, I will start by spawning in the trains. Actually, I want 6 cars per train. Alright, here you can see the trains that I've spawned. Now, you can see some bank track over here. The reason I did it like this is because the miniature railway doesn't have any bank track, and the track like this won't show. And then I don't actually have to make the track invisible here. Just a little trick that I used. Same for this drop here. Also some steeper track than the miniature railway has, so the trains just the track just becomes invisible because now it's a miniature railway track. Anyway, yeah, let's first start by changing some of the vehicles of every train. So we have 6 trains. The ride will be pretty slow, so I think that'll be good. All right, I'll take the ride vehicle editor plugin. And for all of the first vehicles of every train, I'll change it to... Wait, let me synchronize first. So same vehicle number on all trains. I'll synchronize the type and variant for now. Okay, and we'll press synchronize. So now when I make a change on on vehicle 1 of the first train, for example, it will change vehicle 1 of every train. So I'll change it into sports cars. Right, the first vehicle of every train is now a sports car. I will make this one invisible later, but it's essential that we have a powered vehicle at the front. You'll see why later. Alright, for vehicle 2, I'll go for the racing Raptors, if I can find it. There we go. I'll do the same for vehicle 3 and vehicle 4 as well. Alright, I think I'll make it so that guests cannot actually sit on this Raptor. Actually, might actually be fun to have guests also sit on the Raptor, so I'll just keep it for now. And I'll just recolor these the vehicles for this ride. Alright, I think that looks fine. Now, the front vehicle of every train, I'll now make it invisible. So the sports cars, for that, we can just change the variant from 0 to 1. Then we'll have an invisible vehicle. And what I will do now is I will change the acceleration of the ride. If I do that, the ride will be more capable of reaching its top speed, and the hills will have less of an influence on it. Alright, I hope that all went well for the first vehicle. The acceleration has now been set to 240, max speed is still 8. I think we should just open the ride and see how it behaves. Alright, so far so good. It doesn't look like the hill really increases its speed by much, which is exactly what I wanted, so that's good. You can also see that the guests will actually wait for these trains to pass. So I think we can call this a success. Now the trains do leave a little bit fast, but we can just increase the minimum waiting time. And I'll just now let these trains go a few laps through this ride, let them spread out a bit. And while I do that, I will decorate this ride. Alright, the decoration of this ride is already quite far underway. As you can see, I built a canyon here of sorts with lots of dead foliage or brown foliage, some bones. And yeah, I think it's already turning out great. Here you can see some ruins that have been uncovered with a little bit of scaffolding on the sides. Yeah, I think it's turning out great. Now, something which I did notice is that yeah, there's quite large queues in some of the stations. So I think we can definitely add a few more trains to the ride to solve that issue. And I think it will be nice to see a few more of these travel along the track anyway. So that's something that I'm going to do first. And after that, I'm going to continue working on decorating this half of the ride. Now over here, this is the spot I have chosen to build a bandit town. I'm not going to make the complete bandit town in this episode. I will just do the outline, so yeah, you won't really see this part fully decorated. And I plan to also work a little bit on the shape of this part of land over here, because I think it looks a little bit too flat now. I want to make it a little bit more narrow probably, and a little bit more curved. But yeah, quite a lot to do to finish this ride, so let's go. Alright, the second half of the Raptor Caravan is now also decorated. You can see it climb up here. This area will be the bandit town. As you can see, yeah, still quite empty. Just place some trees, some rocks around it. I think it actually looks pretty nice, and I think it will look really cool in the end when I've built lots of bandit buildings inside here. But yeah, I think it's cool to already have made a start on it, and it's fun to see these trains or these caravans yeah, travel around in here. Now over here the ride moves under the coaster. Now that I actually think of it, we should probably make a tunnel here. Normally I use these cables for that. Yeah, that's something I will do in a bit. Over here also for these supports I should also probably hide them, because the trains will also fit under here. And they pass right next to this wall. They go into the tunnel here, which I still have to make visible. And then after that they return back to the station here. So yeah, I think this is a really cool addition to this area. Definitely I definitely did a lot of landscaping in this episode and definitely made this area of the park more complete. Of course, still several rides to add in this area. And of course this entire wall over here also still has to be decorated. I have some really cool ideas for some rides to put here on the side, but also in the middle. So yeah, definitely some cool additions still to be made in this area. But I am really looking forward to doing that. Now, I also added 2 more entertainers to this area. There's one over here on top of this rock, and there's one on top of this rock. So I will quickly name those entertainers after 2 more of my patrons. Alright, Patrick Curry, he recently joined as a patron. Welcome Patrick, thanks for the support, really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy your spot in the park. And this spot over here, next to the pyramids, that spot is taken by RR Nate. So yeah, once again, thanks a lot for the support. It's really appreciated and it really motivates me to keep making these videos. So thanks a lot. Alright, that's going to be all the building I'm going to be doing for this episode. Now, some of these areas next to the track may look a little bit on the unfinished side, but I will definitely continue working on those areas in future episodes. So stay tuned for that. I think it will be really fun to end this episode with a tour along the track of this ride. Now, we're not going to follow one of these vehicles, as that would take 10 minutes to complete, and you would probably click away from this video. So yeah, we will just go along this track a little bit faster and just yeah, while still allowing you to see everything. Right, hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please consider clicking that like button. It would really help out my channel and would make me really happy. And it will tell me that you like the content that I make. And I'll see you again in the next video. See you later.